I need help. I just figured out my property manager's embezzled money. Now she's suing me. She skipped the country. I can't find her. I mean, it was ugly. I had a wholesale account executive come into my office and he literally sat there for 45 minutes and told me how he wanted me to commit fraud.
Whoa.
Wow.
How do you do it?
Statements and
don't answer that question. I was a linguist in the military. I've still yet to have the rich Arab come to Owensboro, but I have continued to practice how to say I'm a real estate broker.
Oh, nice. Which is?
Well, I don't.
One is fail 5 times a month.
Oh, that's so good.
Okay, you got to talk about that more, though.
You mean literally get in a bar fight, or is that a metaphor for other areas? Like, is this
full-on bar fight?
Have you been in a bar fight? My wife listens to all the true crime podcasts. I'm not concerned. I'm just telling you, if I fall off the face of the earth, she did it, and you'll never catch her. We do not want, commercially speaking, to teach people how to commit fraud in lending. Let's just not do that.
Yeah, Bo doesn't. I think it'd be great for our numbers, but, he's the boss. Welcome to Commercially Speaking. I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD.
And I'm Bo Barron, CCIM.
And this is the commercial real estate investing podcast where my brother Bo, CCIM, owner director of Barron Commercial Group, the head of a fund, just all around great guy. Teaches me, an actor and a comedian with ADHD, everything about commercial real estate and commercial real estate investing. I started not knowing anything. Now I know a lot more.
Welcome to 2025, brother.
2025, that's right. It's our first recording of 2025, which is very, very exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very exciting. I wanted to read the latest review that we got on Apple Podcasts real quick.
Okay.
Insightful and engaging. We typically do this at the end, but as a loyal listener, I can confidently say that commercially speaking, delivers spot-on insight for the commercial real estate industry. Bo and Timmy strike the perfect balance between humor and education, keeping you engaged while teaching valuable lessons that apply to real-world situations. Bo is truly top-notch.
Aww.
Yeah, his expertise shines in every episode. Whether you're a seasoned professional or new to the industry, this podcast is a mine of actionable advice. Highly recommended to anyone in CRE. I thought this was like one of the best reviews.
Great. Who was it?
It's from someone named Renè Nelson.
Oh.
So that was our,
Funny.
Yeah.
That should be the case, because guess who our guest is today?
What? Not Renè Nelson.
Renè Nelson.
No way!
And do you know who Renè Nelson is?
No, who?
Well, we talked about her a little bit before in a previous episode.
With Isaac Grant?
With Isaac Grant.
Yeah.
And that was, I always hesitate to say something like this because I don't want to offend any other guests we've had.
Do it.
But I had probably more fun on that episode with Isaac.
That was really fun.
He
shines bright like a supernova.
Yeah, well, he's
Champagne
just so
supernova.
fun to listen to because of his accent.
Yes.
But he's really funny.
Yeah, he is.
And when he was in my 102 class back in Portland a couple years ago, I don't remember. Like he was in his student role. He was soaking it all in. He did great on the exam. He was just a high performing student. But I didn't get from him during the class at how much humor he actually has.
He's really funny.
It came out in that episode, and it was a nice surprise.
It was like with him. It was like an all inclusive trip to Cabos. It was just that fun. And not only that, I mean, he was a lender. He's been a lender for a long time and just moved into commercial real estate.
He had great insights for us.
Great insight.
But you know who he works with?
Yeah, he was talking about Renè.
With Renè Nelson. So yeah. I'm really excited.
Renè, just to let our listeners know real quick, you've got 20 years combined real estate investment brokerage and mortgage lending experience. You hold a CCIM. Fun fact, do you know that fewer than 6% of realtors worldwide hold that designation?
I was aware of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was not. Renè has an associate's degree from Lane Community College and a bachelor's degree in business management from Linfield College. Renè is the principal broker at PacWest Commercial Real Estate her own firm with her husband, Bob, also a CCIM and commercial broker. Renè owns a portfolio of investment real estate. She knows how to manage and operate real estate and how to use real estate to create passive income. She's also an author, wrote the book, They're Gone, The Survivor's Guide, 7 Steps to Protect Your Real Estate. Renè Nelson, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and look, we've known each other for years. You've pretty much from the beginning of my commercial real estate career been a piece of that. Like I just remember knowing you, but I had no idea you were also a lender.
Yeah. So, funny story. I was a lender for 20 years before I became a commercial real estate broker.
Wow.
And get off point was in 2004. So, I had a production team in the lending world, and I had a wholesale account executive come into my office and say, hey, we want you to send more of your loans to us. And I said, they don't fit your Fannie Mae filter. They're subprime. And he leaned back in my office and he said, yeah, I'm here today to teach you how to make them fit. And I went home that night to my husband. Now, I was a lender. Bob, my husband, was a commercial real estate broker. And I said, I'm leaving the mortgage industry. And that was right before the meltdown.
Yeah.
Because he literally sat there for 45 minutes and told me how he wanted me to commit fraud.
Whoa.
Wow.
And so what'd he say?
Oh,
how do you do it?
Like bait statements and do that.
Don't answer that question. Sometimes Timmy asks things we don't actually want to. We do not want, commercially speaking, to teach people how to commit fraud in lending. Like, let's just not do that.
Yeah, Bo doesn't. I think it'd be great for our numbers, but, you know, he's the boss. So you didn't know she was a lender.
No.
And when we had Isaac Grant on, he was a lender. Mm-hmm. And so I'm curious.
Top producer Todd Humphreys was a lender.
Yeah, top producer Todd Humphreys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if this is like a bridge that from lender to commercial real estate broker. Is that common?
I don't know how common it is, but you certainly see it, and it's a great like foundational skill set to bring to commercial real estate brokerage.
Sure.
Like it gives you an advantage.
Right.
For sure. Like I had to learn that kind of on the fly, the lending side, and I didn't have a clue when I started, you know. But it's such a huge part of almost every deal that to have expertise in that area, it's kind of like also like a lot of people are property managers before they become brokers,
right?
Which teaches people how to operate properties well. That's also a great skill set to bring,
right?
You know, I was a linguist in the military. Yeah. Like, I've still yet to have the rich Arab, you know, come to Owensboro, but I have continued to practice how to say I'm a real estate broker.
Oh, nice. Which is?
Well, I don't. I can say it. It's just going to be so bad that anybody listening who knows Arabic is just going to go, But it's Anasim Sar Lilbea Washarata Lakarat.
Hey, that's good. Yeah.
How would you know?
Well, I don't, but like the majority of our listeners will think what I did.
Yeah, that's
good.
true.
Yeah,
and those who know better are going to go, oh man, that's bad.
I think it's still impressive. So, Renè, can you give us a little background? You just told us about how you went from lender to commercial real estate brokerage, but could you give us like a 5-minute origin story of, you know, how you got into lending and then your journey as a commercial real estate broker?
Sure. I was working at a local credit union, so I was in my 20s, and I was doing home equity line of credits and signature loans and stuff like that. And I always saw these women decked out in really nice suits, Gucci handbags, and driving white Mercedes. Now, when you're 20 and you're punching a clock, that's appealing because you just, you know, you see wealth and you're like, I want some of that.
Yeah.
So back in the day, we used to have a thing in our local newspaper that said the $1 Million Club. Well, that's where they sold $1 million to get into it. But when you're 20, you think, oh, they made $1 million. Mm-hmm. So I thought, I'm in. So I decided to take real estate classes, and I was going to go to night school. My husband walked through the door. He was the instructor. I laid eyes on him, saw nothing but rainbow auras, looked at my friend, and I said, I'm going to marry that man.
Right. Like the sky opened up and the angels started to sing. La. Yeah.
I swear that is exactly what happened.
I love it.
What shirt, tie, rolled up sleeves, carrying a leather briefcase, had a gold Rolex on, set it down and said, let's learn real estate. And I thought, I'm in.
Yeah, I would be too. Come on, Bob.
And he was really passionate about real estate. So he helped me get into the lending world. So I left the credit union, became a mortgage broker. Funny story about that. When I decided that I was going to go open my own mortgage shop, I connected with a local real estate agency and they said, hey, you come and run a mortgage shop for us and we'll refer business to you. We've got an office that you can borrow and, use. And they handed me keys and I swung the door open and there was nothing. No furniture, no employees, nothing. So I just built it from the ground up. Ultimately wound up having 14 employees. We were one of the bigger mortgage companies in town. I wound up selling that to a local Remax agency. And then I just was a producer at that time and just originating because my life balance wasn't great. You forget when you're young how hard you work to build your business. And then if you have a family, you start to realize, oh, I'm shorting my kids. And Bo, I know you're really passionate about spending time with your kids. And I really admire that because a lot of us chase a dollar and we give up time with our kids or our family.
Yeah.
Well, I had to learn that too. Luckily, our dad wouldn't let me work till 8 o'clock every night. I love to work.
Yeah.
But I would come back.
Yeah.
I'd go home, put the kids to bed, and I'd come back.
Yeah.
But there was a point, I think around 2015, where Autumn basically looked at me and she was like, she didn't say it like this, but she was basically saying, hey, you going to participate in the family here?
Yeah, right.
And it was kind of a gut punch for me. So it was, I had to really dial it back and learn that. But it wasn't a natural thing for me, for sure.
Yeah. Bo's daughter sometimes will babysit my two daughters. And I remember going home, or I would drive her home at the end of the night. And her, the way she talks about Bo, and I think she was even texting you at the time as I was taking her home. But whatever it was, I was like, it's amazing watching your all's relationship. And she's a teenager. And I'm like, you love your dad so much and you all are good friends. That's odd for a teenager, right? To be like that with her parents. She's like that with Autumn as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I just said something like, oh, I hope my girls are like that when they're teenagers, And she was like, well, just show up. Spend time with them. I was like, okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Good advice.
Yeah.
From a teenager.
That's right. From a teenager. Yeah.
So to forward into commercial real estate, when the lender tried to educate me on how to commit fraud, I went home that night, told my husband I was leaving the mortgage industry and I was going to help my team find jobs. And he said, well, what are you going to do? And I literally said, I will either teach Jazzercise or I will be a dog walker. I had no clue, but I knew I was done and I was leaving. And that was right before the mortgage meltdown. And
wow.
Bob said to me, oh, you ought to become a commercial real estate broker, man. My business is going through the roof and it's crazy. And I thought, do I want to do that? Do I really want to do that? And the more I thought about it, I thought, yeah, it'll be an easy segue. So what I did is I jumped right in and I earned my CCIM designation immediately. That was in the days when you had to fly to go get classes. They don't have online, butts in the seat, 5 days. You take a test on the 6th day. And I cranked mine out in 14 months. I just went as hard as I could. I already had the portfolio put together because of the real estate that I had done in lending, and Bob and I owned some real estate in our portfolio. So the portfolio wasn't a problem. It was the education that I had to complete. So I just knocked it out. And the reason I did that is I wanted to be respected by the men in my industry.
Right.
So one thing I'm really passionate about that you guys are going to learn today is I am really passionate about empowering women and teaching them there is always room for them at the table.
I love that. Are you familiar with Beth Azor? Yeah, because we just had her on. Her episode's coming out on Monday. Same thing. I I can't wait for you to hear that episode, but I love this. I love this.
What I find is if you can prove that you are smart, you don't have to be a 4-point student. I was not a 4-point student. Fun fact, when I was in middle school and high school, my math book went sailing across the room and I was in tears more than once. I hated algebra. And I can remember in middle school saying to my mom, math is so stupid. I am never going to use it as an adult.
Right. Truth.
No, not really.
No, right.
I went and talked to Will's, was it preschool, kindergarten?
Bo's oldest son.
He just graduated from college, and they had me come and speak to their class. And I went in there and I showed them how to calculate a commission. And the whole purpose was like, you'll actually use some of this math. Maybe not the calculus but at that level of the math that they were learning there, I'm like, look, how do you figure out how much you could make on a deal? And boy, that had their attention.
Yeah. Right.
So you use it a little bit.
Yeah. Of course you do. Yeah.
Now they're trying to calculate their commissions off their lemonade stands.
Yeah.
Right.
Just perfect.
That's great. All right. So you hate math, or you did not like it. You were not like a 4-point student. So explain more about what you mean when you say prove that you're smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
So CCIM is all about inclusion and teaching people how to get into commercial real estate. A lot of residential brokers want to get into commercial because they see the big paychecks, but they don't have a clue what they're doing. And it's really easy to make a mistake and cost your client thousands and thousands of dollars of money.
Oh, yeah.
So, fun fact, in 2024, there were 1.5 million real estate brokers. 95% of them were women. So that means there's 975 women that are real estate brokers. Out of that, only 30% are commercial. So there's 292,000 women that are identified as being commercial in the United States.
Wow.
And another fun fact, there are only 9,500 CCIMs right now. CCIM, in my opinion, is predominantly male. Again, everybody's inclusive, but it's just kind of male dominated for CCIMs. So if we use like maybe 40% were women, that's roughly 3,800 CCIMs in the United States. Bo, you're involved with CCIM a lot. How does that number sound? If we've got 9,500 CCIMs, would you agree there's probably, say, 4,000 of them are women?
That actually sounds high to me.
It does.
Like, I think it would actually be less than that. I can tell you that as I've taught over the last couple years, there are more women in the classroom.
Right.
So I think there might be 30 to 40% of the students in the classrooms that I've taught, at least, which is, 5-6 times a year, not a huge representative sample, but it's I've been surprised, especially since, anybody who's in the commercial real estate industry knows it's predominantly male and white. And I think it's changing, and I think it's growing in diversity.
Yeah.
But yeah, the classrooms are more diverse than the industry in general, based on my experience.
Right.
Yep.
And the reason that I want to share that is because if there is a female listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube and they're in the residential world, you have paths to segue into commercial real estate.
Right.
You need to learn it to earn it. So you need to take introduction to CCIM. You need to take 101 to CCIM. It's funny. I've got some friends that are, I don't mean to laugh, but it was really funny at the time. They were taking 101. They literally called me on break in tears. I don't understand this. This is too hard. And I said, all right, put your cell phone away and quit texting your clients. Take a deep breath and listen to that instructor because they're teaching you what you need to know. And then they wound up passing the class. But, they just thought, I can't do it. It's too hard. It's two numbers. And it's like, no, you just need to focus. If I can do it, flinging a math book across the room in high school, you can pass CCIM.
I mean, if I've not taken any of those classes, but I do a podcast with one of the instructors, right? Mm-hmm. If I can learn some of this stuff, you definitely can, listener, you can.
Yes.
You
And
can.
another thing I'd recommend, go on CCIM.com, look up your chapter for your state, because a lot of chapters have scholarships where they'll pay for a class. You do have to now complete 101 because we as a chapter want to have the commitment, skin in the game. So we want you to take 101. But after that, there's 3 or 4 additional classes that you have to take in order to earn your designation. And most of the chapters have a scholarship that will pay for a class.
Yeah, not only that, just since you brought this up, that's the first I've ever heard of a chapter saying, hey, we want you to take 101 and then you're eligible for scholarships. A lot of chapters just have scholarships and they'll give them especially for 101 because they want to get people to start. But I'll tell you this, many chapters have multiple scholarships and they have a hard time getting people to apply for them.
Wow.
It's sometimes a challenge to actually award the scholarship.
Wow.
So if you're interested in the designation at all, if you want to pick up some of the education and take some of these classes, what Renè is suggesting is great advice. Find your local chapter, join the chapter. Generally, you have to be a member of the chapter to be eligible. But after that, there's almost always scholarships available. And, it's rare that, for the Kentucky chapter, we have 4 scholarships we give out a year. We generally have 8 to 10 people apply. Well, if you don't get it, you're considered for the next round. Like you can reapply for but eventually you're likely going to get it. So it's a great thing to look at, especially if you're in the front end of your career and the expense is a challenge. There are scholarships available.
Because I think it's at least $1,000 that they give you. Is that what your chapter gives, Bo? About $1,000?
Yeah, I think some of them might even be $1,500, but they can range. But yeah, it'll pretty much cover the cost of the course.
Yeah.
Yep.
Renè, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and the other thing to dovetail on what Bo said, join your chapter. I have to drive 2 hours one way to attend my chapter meetings. Totally worth it.
So do I. Yep.
For us, we sit and have lunch. We get an hour of CE. Prior to the lunch, we have a 2-hour marketing session. So we get to pitch our properties, our haves and wants. We get to network. Then we have lunch. It's absolutely worth it. That's how you're going to build the relationships to do the off-market deals.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. I've heard that over and over and over and over. It's networking and just being there, being around those people. It's huge. It's huge for any industry.
When I got into commercial real estate, it was male dominated. And I, again, wanted the men in the industry to say, hey, let her in because she's a CCIM and she understands how to calculate a cap rate and understands cash flow, as opposed to, oh, that's Bob's wife. I don't want to be Bob's wife. I'm Bob's wife at home doing the dishes and cooking dinner. I want to be Renè Nelson, CCIM. Hey, by the way, Isaac Grant and I won CCIM Transaction of the Year.
I saw that.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And wasn't that like maybe Isaac's first deal?
It was Isaac's first deal.
Come on.
What a way to start.
Come on.
So not only did we win the category for multifamily, but we won bragging rights for the state of Oregon, Southwest Washington, for the transaction of the year.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's great.
I'm not going to lie. It felt really good.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I've got a Spheri Van Ness buddy in the room, and we buy every year. I've won it 4 years or 5 years. He wins it the other years, and it felt really good to beat him this year.
I bet.
Yeah, I bet it did. That's awesome.
That's cool. When you talk about you didn't want to be Bob's wife, like when I got out of the military and started working with my dad, I had a version of that. It was really this voice in the back of my head that said, who would want to work with you if they could work with your dad? And our dad was the established guy. He was the main commercial real estate broker in town. There really wasn't a second place at the time. And I didn't want to just be known as, well, that's Bill's kid.
Right.
He's okay. And my dad put me in the CCIM courses from the jump. Like, I didn't have a choice. He just put me in there, which was a great move because it gave me a lot of confidence quickly that I actually knew how to do some of this stuff. I felt like I could actually serve somebody well to where they weren't wishing, Dad was in the room.
Right.
Know?
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, what else?
Hey, let's play a fun game.
Okay.
All right.
So I listened to Bo's podcast about Alice and superpowers and getting EA. You know what EA stands for, really?
Executive assistant?
I feel like she's going somewhere else.
Yeah, going somewhere else.
I had a different acronym for me, and my EA is on the podcast in the background with us right now. My EA is easy access.
Easy access.
For me, it's easy access to free time, balanced life, somebody that's controlling my calendar. I called Superpowers and just said, I'm run ragged. I don't want to push the button anymore on creating marketing packages I use RealNext. I think it's a great software.
We do too.
Run it, but why would I do that? Why would I spend time uploading pictures and doing all that other stuff when Jason he runs circles around me? Now we just get on a Zoom call and I point and say, oh, could you move that picture and could you do this? And then we get off our Zoom call and he goes and he does all that amazing stuff in the background for me.
Oh, that is so great.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
In fact, I've said this before about Alice, and Alice is, she's the producer on the podcast she's on right now, so she's going to hear me say this, but like, we've yet to throw anything at Alice that she hasn't excelled at and exceeded our expectations. So recently, Todd sends me this little clip, and it's of a real estate agent and all the stuff they sold. And it was like a little video. And he's like, could we do something like this? And so I sent that to Alice. I was like, hey, can you reach out to Todd and get a list of all his deals, pull the pictures, and do you think you could try to make something like this?
Right.
And like, all of a sudden, there it is.
Wow.
And it was so good.
Come on, Alice. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
I
like the easy access.
Yeah, anybody listen that wants an easy access or wants one of those, you can go to superpowershq.com/commercially speaking to go get you one. Let them know that you came from us.
Yep.
Absolutely. They made it so streamlined for the process, and they helped Jason and I sync. I haven't been a boss in 20 years as far as having a team and having to delegate and pass stuff off. And so they gave me easy ideas like, hey, get on a Zoom with him, walk him through because I was like, how do I get all this stuff to him? And so they taught me some easy things like have a morning daily sync Zoom call, take pictures with your cell phone. Because, Bo, you're probably like me. We get into that rut of, I have to make this a little better or make it perfect before I pass it off so they'll understand. And then you spend an hour trying to type out notes and make it perfect, and you just wasted an hour of your life.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if you've had an EA before, but I had an EA before Alice with a different company, and she was highly capable, but I didn't know how to utilize her. And what Superpowers did that was so important and effective for me is they actually taught me how to be managed by my executive assistant, which is what has freed me up. And so they taught me how to utilize an executive assistant. And that's other than Alice being so high caliber, and I'm sure Jason is as well, like that's been the thing that's made the huge difference is they actually taught me how to benefit from the relationship with my EA. And I didn't know how to do it. And it would
give your listeners 2 examples of something that she's taken off your plate.
Oh, well, the calendar is the first thing I think of. I am now almost never touch my calendar. Every so often, but now it's like I just shoot it to her. Hey, can you add this? Can you do this? And what it does is it just takes all that mental fog, gets it out of my head, and allows me to be present in what I'm actually doing. And then when we get together on those morning syncs you were talking about, she runs me through my day. Hey, here's what your calendar looks like. And it's always there. I can look at it anytime I want, but I'm not allowed to touch it.
Right.
Which means I don't have to engage in the scheduling stuff.
Right.
So yesterday I'm on a call. It was a CCIM call, and it was with all the committee members on the national committees. And so there's like 170 people in there. Well, one of the guys on there, Scott Overby, friend of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Good buddy of mine. He sends me a text. He's like, hey, we need to get together with these certain people. When are some times you could do that? Well, instead of replying to that text, I sent him and Alice an email and said, hey, we need to figure out a time for these 6 people. Like, shoot Scott some of my availability. And I was done. I haven't thought about it since.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen while I was doing something way more important than trying to figure out when I had availability.
Right.
So like just the little I'm saving 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here. You know, you try to schedule an appointment with 6 people and all those emails back and forth. Well, I can't do this. I can't. It's just so great to be able to push it with somebody else. So that would be one example. Another example, when we get a new listing, like this happened yesterday, we got a listing. Top producer Todd Humphreys. It's a great listing. Big medical office building that he's been working on probably for a year plus to win this business. Finally gets the signature yesterday. Here's what's going to happen. Alice is going to create the project in RealNex so we can document all that we do and report to our new clients. Okay. She's going to create the offering memorandum. She's going to send out the email blast. We have this whole system of stuff. I don't even remember it all because I don't have to do it anymore.
Right.
And she just executes it all, which means top producer Todd Humphreys doesn't have to do all that stuff. Right. I don't have to do all that stuff. He can continue to stay on the phone and meet with people and win more business or sell what he just got. And so just the whole process is offloaded to her. We've defined it. And she knows exactly what to do, and she just, and all of a sudden, it all exists.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to do a dang thing.
Wow.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Renee?
That's awesome. Probably calendar control is one thing that Jason's taken off my plate, and definitely creating marketing packages. Like I said, they look so much prettier when he's done with them than what I can do. It's amazing. And here's what I want to do. We're going to play a fun game. So this is something that Jason created for me. So every year at the beginning of the year, I create my goals. And this year, I decided to do a bingo card of my goals.
Love it.
Oh, this is great.
Love it.
Now, so Bo, here's a question for you. What's on your bingo card for 2025?
Well,
Not a bingo card. What would be on there?
Yeah, I've got the business goals, generate X amount of revenue, that kind of stuff. On the very personal side is like I've spent the last year and a half getting down to a healthy weight. And so part of my is to stay within like this weight range, like to really just groove that as my new normal, because it's one thing to have the discipline to get down to a certain weight, but then once you don't need to lose anymore, it's a whole different level of discipline to not just revert back to what your default was before. So, so there's that. I've got some goals. Like I want to take a trip with each kid this year. Actually just knocked that out with Will, already. If I spend a little bit more thoughtful time, I could come up with some other things, but, here's one. It's my 25th anniversary this year.
Oh, wow.
And so Autumn and I took our first real legit vacation since we started having kids.
Yeah.
Just the two of us last year. And so I want to make that an annual thing, but especially this year on the 25th anniversary, making it a, that kind of trip. So there's that. I don't know if I'm going to spend 10 days in New Zealand or something. We probably won't go that far, but yeah, those would be some of the boxes on my bingo card, I think.
Yeah.
Timmy, what's on yours?
I've created a new sport called Tisbee, which is pretty much you're playing Frisbee on a tennis court. And we've just knocked off a bunch of things, setting up the business, the trademark, copyright. And now we're unrolling into really awareness, making people aware of it and things of that nature. So one of my biggest goals for this would be to begin to sell the product that we have for it. But I want to hit a milestone of viewership and signups, email, capturing people's information. So there's that, getting TCB off the ground so a lot of people know what it is. One personally for me is this year would be time management, getting really getting into being intentional with every minute of my day. So, that's just something that's been a struggle for me for a while. So that's one, is really know exactly what I'm doing every day and then sticking to it. So, and then I want to, and then personally with my family, I want to my wife is from Ireland. I'd love to do a trip with the whole family. She just came back, but she went solo for a thing. I want to take them all to Ireland. We want to do that sometime this year. So those are.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd like to share two if you guys are open for that.
Please.
Okay, so one is fail 5 times a month.
Oh, that's so good.
Okay, you got to talk about that more, though.
Oh.
Because, instantly I like the idea of that because it means you're striving for something. But talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, I love that.
So there's a money guru named Ramit Sethi,
Okay.
and he's written a book, I Will Teach You How to Be Rich.
Yep.
And I've been in his money coaching. The guy's a brainiac one. Just common sense, like how to not have a budget, but how to build a conscious spending plan and, how to live within your means and how to live a rich life. And he is passionate about striving and living bigger than what you think you can. And so he's the one that said he actually keeps a folder on his desktop, and his goal is to fail a minimum of 5 times a month. And he puts that into that folder because that proves to him he's pushing himself hard and he's trying to strive to grow.
So is it failing in any area, or is there like a specific category of failure?
Yeah, what's an example of what would go in that folder for you?
Okay, so for me, as an example, I told a client yesterday that I would not list their property at their desired price because it was too low of a cap rate. I knew it would not go well in the market. We wouldn't get any offers. And to me, that's a fail forward because I'm willing to put myself out there and say, hey, I don't need your business. Yes, I want to list that multifamily. Yes, I want that relationship with you. I've worked broker opinions of value for this guy for 4 years solid. Every year in December, I do a new analysis for him. And I feel like I'm close, but, then he comes up with this price that there's just no way that I can hit that. And so yesterday I sent him an email and I said, I'm really sorry, but I'm not your girl for that listing. If you want to list at this price, I'll take it and I'll get it sold for you, but not at that price. And to me, that's a fail because I didn't put the deal together. I didn't get the listing, but it was what I wanted. So I put that in my folder.
Nice.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
I love it. Fail 5 times a month. That's so good.
Okay, and 2 more.
Okay.
Now, my bingo card does not have to be a blackout in order for 2025 to be the top of the year for me. Because, with bingo, you can go diagonal, across. There's many ways to win on a bingo card.
Yeah.
So one of my crazy ones is get in a bar fight.
Yeah. Would that be a first-time occurrence for you if it happens?
Luckily, yes. I do watch Yellowstone, and Beth Dutton is kind of iconic in my view. So I had watched her moves, and I think I could hold my own in a bar fight.
Yeah, so when you do, you mean literally get in a bar fight, or is that a metaphor for other areas? Like, is this, explain.
Full-on bar fight.
Have you been in a bar fight?
No. I mean, verbally. Not like fists or anything. Yeah, but no, I got fired from being a karaoke host because of my mouth on the microphone.
Yeah. That's a little different.
That's different. But no, I've never been in a bar. I don't think so. I don't think I have. No. Yeah, I'm pretty passive.
I've tangentially been in a bar fight.
What? Tell us.
I was in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
In Monterey, California.
Yeah.
And I had just bombed a big exam in the language school. And so I went out with another Marine who was from Kentucky, who was a military language instructor, and he was trying to breathe wind back in my sails. We're sitting at the bar having a beer, and I get elbowed in the head by the guy next to me.
Yeah.
But he was reaching back to punch the guy next to him. It had nothing to do with me. And so I was next to the bar fight, but when that guy pulled back, I sort of shot my arm up and hooked him. And the guy next to me was a large human, like muscle head.
Oh.
And so they really didn't get to fight. We kind of just tossed him out and sat back down and finished it. So it wasn't really a bar fight, but it was
right.
It was tangentially next to what was almost a bar fight.
Right. You got hit.
I got elbowed in the head.
Yeah, you got elbowed in.
Accidentally. Yeah.
You know how quick that can elevate then, Bo. You know, a bar fight.
But I'll tell you, if that were on my bingo card, I would check that box after that.
You would? Would you, Renee? Would that satisfy the check?
Well, I'm hoping that I don't lose any teeth, so I think I would take Bo's check for the win on that.
Like, close enough, you know?
Close enough.
Yeah.
All right, two more and then I'm done. So a fun thing is day drink in a kiddie pool during the summer. Just spend it away, get back, day drink in a kiddie pool.
Love it.
Then kind of one that I'm becoming better at is fire a client. Now, I really hope that I don't have to check that off. But in my life, I'm learning boundaries because often we really want to strive to make our clients really happy. And sometimes we leave our own happiness at the door and we just tie ourselves into pretzels. And so boundaries are something that I've learned are actually healthy in commercial real estate, not answering your phone call on a Saturday night at 9:00. When the client thinks, oh, I just have one question and it morphs into 45 minutes and you get the idea, Bo.
Yeah. You're north of Portland, correct?
I'm south, 2 hours south of Portland.
South of Portland. Okay. So if you take your entire market and all the potential clients out there, if they all wanted you, could you serve them all? No, I mean, like there's a certain amount of capacity that we have, and that's all we have. So every time you say no to an opportunity or you fire a client that you have, what you're really saying is there are my people out here that I'm meant to serve, and you're not one of them. And so by taking on your business, I'm not going to serve you well. You're not going to be pleased with the experience. You really belong with somebody else. And whether the client knows it or not, when you let somebody go so they can go find their person to work with, it frees you up to, I mean, you're really doing yourself a huge favor and you're doing the client a favor, whether they recognize it or not. So I hope you do get to fire some clients, people that aren't your people. They don't fit your ideal client profile because it's going to improve your business and it's going to improve their lives as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and if you're listening to this and you're in commercial real estate and you're on that rat race feel, like the hamster wheel, you can put into place right now 2 easy things. So the next time your phone rings and you're thinking, but I'm getting ready for this listing and I've got to look up these comps and just ignore your phone. That client will wait because you're going to answer that phone frazzled or tempted to try to cut it short. And your client's going to feel that in your voice. But the other thing that it does is it teaches your client that you are not accessible 24/7. So it changes their behavior and it makes them realize, oh, she's really busy or he's really busy. I probably need to find out when they're available to talk. And it kind of slows down that process of them calling you 2 or 3 times a day to talk out what's going through their mind when it could have been a 2-line email. And don't get me wrong, I love my clients. I mean, most of them are my friends and I like to socialize with them. But, you know, there's just that point where you have to set boundaries in your life because that's healthy for you to mental health and happiness and wellness. And
you know, Timmy, you were talking earlier about how you want one of your focuses this year to do each day on purpose.
Yes.
And, what I found was when I started time blocking.
Yeah.
And I went way overboard at one point and time blocked down to the minute. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
But when I started time blocking, those are appointments with myself to serve my clients, to improve the business, to gain a new skill or whatever. Those are important things. And so if I've got it on the calendar, it allows me to say, okay, I can't take this call because I've got an appointment right now, even though it's with myself. And I'll generally shoot the little automatic text, can't talk right now, I'll call you back later.
Yeah.
And then you always call back later. And you train your clients, that you're not accessible 24/7, but you also train them that you're going to do exactly what you said you're going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you back later, and I call you back later.
Right.
And
that's hard for me. I mean, that is something I want to do, but like the call back or the text back, man, that's another thing. Clear my inbox.
Oh yeah, I've seen your inbox. It gives me hives. It's unbelievable.
Let's get to ground zero there.
Yeah, but that's great advice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think that's all I've got for you guys.
Oh, you don't got one more?
Okay. Meditate. Well, 2, watch a meteor shower. I watched a meteor shower a couple of years ago with one of my best friends on the top of her Sprinter van, and it was the most amazing, epic thing ever. We were in a vineyard. I'd never been in a meteor shower, so it was like, wow, I am going to find that. That is going to be one of my bingo checkoffs this year. That is going to happen.
Nice.
And I think the other one would be to meditate for 30 days straight. Meditate every day for 30 days. There's so many good apps out there, and to just have someone in the morning walk you through a morning meditation for no longer than 5 minutes. Literally, I shoot for a 4-minute meditation. And what I've found is that allows me, if I do it first thing in the morning before I open my email or do my first transaction, it allows me throughout the day to just tick off thoughts. So instead of feeling frazzled or, oh, I need to do this or I need to do that or this person's waiting on me, if I've meditated in the morning, I just say to myself, okay, what do I need to do right now? Kind of like you said, Bo, where you've got these time blocks and you know where your body and your mind is supposed to be. So meditate. Yeah. And don't just sit and listen to music because your mind is going to go 1,000 different directions. Let somebody walk you through a meditation. It's phenomenal. I use an app called Insight Timer.
Insight Timer.
Insight Timer. And there's a whole bunch of different meditations. There's evening, there's morning, but I have found that the morning one really just synergizes me and centers me and makes me a kinder, happier person throughout the day.
It's so true. I've done that lots, and it's true. I mean, it's amazing how much it helps whenever you're intentional about being present, being there, being still. But the ones where they lead you, is so good.
I do want to circle back to your business and ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You're a multifamily specialist.
Yes.
And, when you think about your clients, when you think about investors in multifamily, the owners of multifamily, like if there are people listening to this episode, and there will be, who want to invest in multifamily, from a foundational perspective, what do they need to know from a market, where we are in the market cycle, kind of like what advice would you give somebody that was interested in investing in multifamily right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think a lot of investors have been watching and wondering if interest rates are going to go down. I think rates are where they're at. I think this is our new norm. So part of what you have to weigh in is you have to look at cap rates. And if you don't know what a cap rate is, call a CCIM. We'd love to walk you through that and explain it to you.
It's net operating income over the value of the asset.
Yay, Timmy. And the minute I said that, I think, no, Timmy learned that on an episode.
One of the first ones. I've been asked about it a lot. It's there.
Bo, I don't know what cap rates are in your market, but in my market for multifamily, I just have closed 3 multifamily properties in the last 90 days, and they all sold at a 5.5 cap. Well, when people are borrowing money at a 6.5 cap, or a 6.5% interest rate, there's a separation there. That's called negative leverage. So for investors, you need to work with someone that really understands the market and cap rates so that you're not overpaying for a property, because the old days of, well, I'll just buy it now and, I'll wait and refinance it in a couple of years. I don't think interest rates are going to go down in the near future. So whatever debt you take on right now is the debt you're going to have. So you need to make sure it'll pencil and it's going to cash flow. Now, it's one thing if you're going to buy something at a 5.5 cap rate and then you're going to go in and renovate it when maybe at the end of leases and you're going to put $300,000 in it and jump up to market rents. That's a different thing. But if you're just buying a property like a 20 or a 40 unit apartment complex and you're buying it at a 5.5 cap, but your cost of capital is 6.5%, that means you're going to have to reach into your Levi's every month to help cover the debt.
Yeah, and that's the reality of now here, our cap rates here, we don't have a lot of, I think we only have maybe 80 properties in Owensboro, Kentucky that are over 12 units, multifamily wise. So, there's not much, and there's only 5 properties that have over 100 units in the entire town. So we don't see a lot of transactional velocity in multifamily. But if I were to guess, we'd probably be in that 6.5 to 7.5% cap rate range. We've got maybe 1 or 2 Class A properties with hundreds of units. I could see those dipping down below 6 cap. But we're not in that space in Middle America where we're seeing a lot of negative leverage because we never saw 4% cap rates.
Yeah,
to me that's a unicorn. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But on the coasts, saw that all the time. But it's still a reality.
Yeah.
Money just costs more to borrow, period. And so it changes how the property needs to be operated and what you can buy it for. And you're right. It used to be you're going to marry the property, but you date the interest rate. That's not the case anymore.
Right.
And I would agree with Renè. I don't see us going back down into 4% interest rates. And I think we're going to be in this range. And traditionally, this is still pretty low interest rate range. If you go back the last 30, 40 years and look at the trend line, we're still kind of lower than normal. But I agree. I think we're going to have to get used to where we are. And that changes what people can pay for things. That changes how you can operate. You used to be able to overpay for something and just know you could push rents because just rents were going up every year just because they existed.
Right.
Not so much anymore. So now you have to be a better operator and you have to be more careful how you buy. And you can't just assume that it's going to appreciate significantly over the next 5 years so you can get a nice return on it when you sell or if you sell or whatever. So it's a different ball game.
But it's still a good ball game because it's something that's tangible. You can drive by and look at it. It's something that once you get into it, you could 1031 exchange. One thing that I do with a lot of my clients, we have rent control in Oregon. So a lot of my clients have owned their properties for the last 10, 20 years, and they've lifted them up as high as they can. But because now we have rent caps at 10%, they know they're just not it's going to be a slow road to wealth. And so a lot of my clients are selling their multifamily and 1031 exchanging into triple net properties like a Dollar General or a Jack in the Box or, something where it's just mailbox money. They just get a check in the mail.
That's right.
Yep.
And with those, most of those terms are longer as well, especially those drive-throughs.
Listen to him.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Smart.
Hey, look. He's impressive, is he not? We also just did an episode with James Bean where we talked 1031s and so that's also probably fresh on his mind. But we have these conversations and then he edits the video, so he hears them a couple of times every time, and repetition's the best way to learn anything. Yeah. And so Timmy acts sometimes like he's really not that smart. He's really stinking smart.
Yeah, it was incredible. So Dad, we went up for the cabin, right? So all the brothers and the nephew went to the cabin for a couple days. And Dad, I rode up with Dad, right? And Dad was asking me a couple questions because he's in the process of doing a 1031.
That's right.
And he had a couple questions that I answered for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And that felt really good. That felt really good. Really good.
Now, even though that happened probably before January 1st, 2025, I think you should put that on your bingo card, Timmy.
Yeah.
Sample 1031 question for Dad. And just take it as a win.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Instant check that box.
Yeah. I answered something in his industry for him. Yes. Check.
That's awesome.
With the bingo card and the things on your bingo card, I got to say, you've given me a treasure trove of things to pick for when I design the thumbnail for this, like getting a bar fight, day drink in a kiddie pool. You have given me some great things to design on the thumbnail. Before we wrap up completely, I do want to ask if you had advice to give to women that were on the fence or interested in going into commercial real estate as either a broker or to invest in commercial real estate. What is something that you would what would you say to them?
If you're an investor, I would recommend connecting with a woman local in your market that understands commercial real estate. And gain the knowledge that she will share with you, because we are also passionate about helping women, because
That's right.
My average client is like 70 years old and he's a white male. I mean, the race doesn't matter, but he's male and he's 70. And that's one reason that I wrote that book, They're Gone, because I had a client who her husband took care of everything, took care of all the books and stuff. He died from cancer. And immediately her property manager in her mini storage complex, self-storage, embezzled money from her.
Wow.
About $40,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And then my client got sued, and I wasn't helping my client at that time. She came to me, we were friends, and she came to me afterwards and was like, I need help. I just figured out my property manager's embezzled money. Now she's suing me. She skipped the country. I can't find her. I mean, it was ugly.
Yeah.
And sort of just thought, wow, this cannot happen to anybody else that I know. So I just wrote a real easy book. Like, if you're married, here's what you need to know before your husband passes away. You need to know where the passwords are. You need to know your bank accounts. And most of the time, the guys want to take care of their spouse, and so they handle that stuff. But for knowledge, it's never too late to ask questions and say, hey, just walk me through how our real estate portfolio is set up, or who do I talk to if you get hit by a bus? Who should I reach out to? And start figuring out I call them my board of trustees. Who's the smart people in the room that I need to talk to? And that typically starts with your CPA and your family attorney, because those are the two smartest people in the room. And then your third person should be a trusted real estate broker, somebody that's going to advise you either, hey, this property is not performing well, or you should absolutely keep this. Do not sell this property, because if you do, you're going to lose money, or whatever the situation is.
Right.
Yeah. That's great advice.
It is good advice.
Yep.
And then the fourth person is probably a good therapist.
Yeah.
And I would explain to like your husband or whoever it is that, what you are doing, so they don't think you're about to murder them.
That's true. Especially like my wife, the big joke in my family is my wife listens to all the true crime podcasts. And the big joke is if I disappear, like she did it, and you will not be able to prove it. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not concerned. I'm just telling you, if I fall off the face of the earth, she did it and you'll never catch her.
Yep.
Like she knows all the tricks at this point. She's listened to all the mistakes other people has had.
Yeah.
And if she were to come to me asking me about life insurance, I might be a little concerned.
Right.
But if she started asking me about who to call if something were to happen to me, I wouldn't worry. But yeah, love you, baby.
And then the other part that I would share for female real estate brokers, if you want to get into commercial real estate, do not let money be a barrier. Borrow money from a family member if you want to take a CCIM class. I mean, you can start small. The introduction to CCIM 101, I think, is like 2 days and maybe it's a day and a half, 2 days, and it's like $295.
Yeah.
Borrow that. If you have to go borrow that from somebody, borrow that money and take that class, because you will realize that that is the stepping stone to the next, getting into join your CCIM chapter, applying for the scholarship. They normally give the scholarships at the end of the year. So I would just really encourage you, connect with other CCIMs, because we all want to get back. We're all at a point in our career where we want to reach down. If you're, and I don't mean that down in a bad way, but in commercial real estate, you have to prove yourself. We're not going to just let a residential broker come in and say, hey, I'm going to run this deal. And you have to prove that you know what you're doing. Fun fact, I just sold a 6-unit property here in Eugene, and there was a residential broker that had the property listed for sale, and she didn't even know how to calculate a cap rate. Oof. So she had the price in a listing platform that we're all familiar with, but there was no numbers in there, no cap rate, nothing, because she didn't know how to calculate it. So that does not serve a seller well. You don't want to have your best friend list a property if they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. All right, well,
yeah.
Want to do a pop quiz?
Yeah!
All right, pop quiz.
Yes, I do.
That was a good one.
It's because I forgot about it. Yeah, that was yeah.
So, Renè, we're going to ask Timmy 5 questions. We'll alternate. You're our guest, so you get to go first, and you'll ask questions 1, 3, and 5. They can be on anything we've talked about or anything. Like, we can play Stump Timmy if we want. I can tell you he's been taking notes this whole time, so you don't have to go easy on him. Mm-hmm. But that's the deal. So, Renè, question 1.
All right, Timmy. How many times does Ramit Sethi plan to fail per month?
5.
Oh, good job. I probably went too easy on him, Bo, but I didn't want to stump him.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a gimme.
You warm me up. That was good. Yeah.
Now, we did a little mental math with Renè earlier.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how many of this and how many of that. But we kind of boiled it down to how many CCIM designees exist on the planet right now. And that number was
9,500.
9,500. Okay, he wrote that one down.
Yeah.
All right, nicely done. He's 2 for 2. All right, Renè, let's ratchet it up a little bit here. Question 3.
Ooh, you take question 3. I'll take question 4. I'm trying to think of a good one to stump him.
Well, me too. Okay, let's do this. All right, Renè and I are connected through our careers at least 4 different ways. 4 different ways.
Okay.
All right. What are they?
CCIM.
Okay, that's 1.
Isaac Grant.
That's 2.
We're doing a podcast together.
No. I mean, that's true, but we're not going to count that one.
CCIM, Isaac Grant.
Weren't listening much during the pre-show, eh?
I guess not. No.
Well, the third one would be superpowers.
Superpowers. Yeah, superpowers.
Okay.
Yeah. Superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. If you want to get your executive assistant, give you easy access to your life with no burnout, eliminate the suck. Go ahead.
Easy access to freedom and growth.
That's it. Yeah. Easy access to freedom and growth.
And the fourth one would be dollar stores.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Dollar Generals. Yep. Well,
it could be a 5th one, because I also knew you, Bo, when you were coaching in Massimo Group and when you were involved with Massimo.
That's right.
Oh,
very
wow.
true.
Yeah, way back.
Very, very true.
All right, so you got me.
Great. Sweet. Question 4.
Question 4. Timmy, what is one of the roles that Alice performs for Bo?
Oh, yeah. Well, calendar, listings. So there's 2.
So I'm going to ask a better question.
Okay.
What does Bo it relates back to one of your podcasts. What does Bo really appreciate about Alice? And it's related to booking a hotel near an airport when Bo had to travel early the next morning.
Yes.
And he was drive. What did she do that he loved?
She looks around the corner for him. She anticipates things that are coming up that maybe he's not looking at or can see.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, so I suppose question 5 is back to me then? Okay. We talked about Renee's bingo card.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she mentioned a number of them. In fact, she gave us 2, and then she continued to give us 2 more and 2 more and 2 more.
Right.
So name me, excuse me, name me 4.
Sure.
All right, 5. Name me 5.
Sure. Fail 5 times.
Okay. Talk
Day
about that
drink in a kiddie pool.
All right, that's 2.
Get in a bar fight.
Okay, that's 3.
A meteor shower. Go watch a meteor shower.
Yep.
I'm not looking at my notes, by the way.
I see.
Yeah.
1 more.
And,
She gave us 1 more, and we actually talked about it more than any of the other ones.
fire a client.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fire a client.
Fire a client. There
Very
we go.
good.
That was the one that wouldn't look too good on a thumbnail. I love it. Renee, I gotta say, like, bringing in the bingo there, it really gave me another perspective of what to look at as far as goals for a new year. Right? It was a different way of looking at it than just like, here's my goal I'm trying to hit, or what's going on.
It wasn't wooden and stuffy.
No.
It was like gamifying the whole thing.
You gamified it with the bingo stuff, and then, like, instead of being like, I'm going to be better at setting boundaries, you're like, I'm going to fire a client. So something that you hope doesn't happen, right? But you know that if it's needed, it's going to be good for you. To add that to the list, I think it has given me a new way to look at it. So props to Jason. Shout out to Jason, your EA as well, because I think you said he
Designed
the bingo, or he designed the card. Or
Yep.
Yeah. So shout out Jason for doing that. But that was actually really inspiring to me, especially going in this new year. I know it will be for anybody else who hears this.
Yeah.
I did not know that was coming, and I just really appreciate that. And I love the way that you look at the world, and I think you're also really funny. And yeah, I think I'm developing a man crush on you too, Renee.
Hey, I'll tell you this, though. If we happen to move to Eugene, Oregon, I mean, like, who on earth else would we want to work with?
Yeah, nobody else. Well, yeah, Isaac Grant.
No, they're a package deal.
They are a package deal.
It's like,
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Isaac like near you right now?
Yes.
Is
Yes.
he?
Yeah.
Is he?
Now, he's technically in Mexico this week with his wife, but yeah, we work in the same city. We collaborate. We
Gotcha.
talk almost every single day.
Gotcha.
We're joined at the hip for our business.
Oh, so he's actually on an all-inclusive trip to Cabos.
He is.
Now, Renee, do you know what Timmy and Isaac do in the background behind our backs? Why don't you share with Renee?
So since he was on the podcast, we've been texting back and forth, and he had this idea of like giving me some British things to say. I think that's how it started, like some things that like British lines and stuff. And so each episode since then, he's sent me a line to throw in randomly or find a point in time. So Champagne Supernova I got that in early. And then today I told him that we were having you on the podcast. And so.
Yeah, you led with it. I think I recognized it this time.
Yeah, which was, he was like, try to throw in all-inclusive trip to Cabos. And I mean, that was an easy one to throw in. We're talking about how, how awesome he is and stuff and how fun. No, we're talking about how fun the podcast was with him. I was like, oh yeah, it's like an all-inclusive trip to Cabos.
Yeah. When you said that, I was like, that's gotta be the one.
Yeah. That's the one.
Gotta be the,
yeah. So it's like, each episode he'll let you know. I mean, he'll let you know so you can be in on it, but there's always a line in there I'm throwing in for Isaac Grant, and I try to do it in a British accent as well. So yeah, that's fun. That's fun.
Cool.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Well, Renee, thanks so much for hanging out with us some today. And
where can people find you, Renee?
Yep.
Renee at 1031guru.com or dial me up 541-912-6583.
And your website is
eugene-commercial.com.
eugene-commercial.com.
And the name of your book is?
They're Gone, What's Next?
Great. Cool. All that's going to be in the show notes as well, so you can look it up. Renee, thank you so much for being here. This was awesome.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Guys, I had a blast.
Yeah, so do we.
All right.
Sweet. Cool. Well, Bo, we've got a newsletter that people can sign up for free.
For free.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go to subscribe.wgbarron.com. It is a collection of stuff on negotiation, leadership, business, commercial real estate. Always has a link to a podcast episode, so you never have to miss one of those again. It'll just be delivered right to you. And we'd love to have you join us there. I also want to mention that we've got a marketing mastermind program that we're doing in conjunction with Wes Gay. And it's going to take commercial real estate brokers, cut out all the uncertainty of how to market yourself so that you can attract those ideal, great fit clients that Renee and I were talking about a little while ago. Like, we're going to take you through a 16-week process, a whole plan for the entire year, something that you can continue to refine and replicate in years to come. It's going to be incredibly valuable. So just be on the lookout for more information about that.
That's right. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Commercially Speaking. Ding that little bell to get notified. Leave some comments. That always helps out a great deal. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We will read it out loud to you. And follow us on social media. We're everywhere at Commercially Speaking. We're on X at ComSpeakPod. Thank y'all for listening. We'll see you next Monday. Bye, Renee. Love you. Love you, brother.
Love you, brother.
Bye, Alice.
Bye, Alice. Bye, Jason.
Bye, Jason.
Bye.
Yay! Sweet.
Awesome.